Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are looking at an older polish of mine. It is the Force Awakens by Glam polish. We are still not done with all of my indigo and cobalt nail polish, so this is another installment of the Indigo Appreciation Society. This particular one has an indigo base with some iridescent glitter and flakes, and they shift from green to gold to red. I chose this one because the polish on my other hand was going to be quite dark, and I hadn't pulled out a glitter polish in a while. I wanted a little variety after having so many shimmers. My collection does have a preponderance of shimmer, but I do like a good glitter and a good flake. Now, you are seeing this one in my left hand because I'm a coward and didn't want to polish with a skinny brush on my non-dominant hand on camera. It's just awkward to see the far edge of my nail, the edge that you perceive at the top of the screen. I probably should have thinned the polish a little bit before application, but I did so after I used it. I'm just using the KB Shimmer thinning drops for anything that has glitter or flakes in it. Oh, it's bad when you edit and you get distracted by the color of the nail polish you swatched. I'm so overjoyed to see that cobalt base again. I know it's not even in one coat. We're gonna get there. I feel like I've said this before. I don't hate the brush for glam polish. It is flexible, it does move very well, but nothing is as good as a paddle brush for me. I know others have different feelings, but I'm just a big paddle brush advocate. And if glam polish happened to switch to a paddle brush, I would do a little, internal jump for joy. This is a recurring problem for me. When I see a brand that hasn't switched to a paddle brush, in my mind, that's going to happen just around the corner. I have that problem with ILNP. I haven't bought any because I see that they have a paddle brush for their creams, and I'm like, I know you guys have them, and I know you can just put them in the other bottles, and I'm just waiting for that to happen. Now, this polish in particular is one of the ones that I struggle to classify in my collection. I think it reads as a purple, but that base is definitely indigo. So right now it's living amongst my purples, but I feel like I should move it back to the blues. Technically, I sort my polish by the base color just for consistency's sake, but ones like this always make me question my previous choices. Maybe I should sort by the perceived color on the nail, but I feel like that'll cause me even more grief. Now we're going back in for a second coat, and you can see that the polish is going to get deeper. You're going to get more of that cobalt base, but you're also getting more of the iridescent glitter and flakes, and that pulls the polish. You can start to see now in the second coat how much it pulls the polish towards looking purple. And I think you can see here, I haven't gotten it even in two coats, so I'm definitely going in for a third on my thumb. On my other nails, I felt like they were even enough. And I could have been more generous with my second coat application off camera, but I wasn't. So when we do get to the full hand shots, you're going to see some variance in the color, and that's because I chose to only do two coats on those other nails. And here is something I didn't know I'd ever be saying, but I think this polish looks really good in the LED lights. Usually outside in the sun and the shade, the camera picks up so much more subtlety in the color, but there's something about this polish that it's showing it surprisingly accurately here. When we do get to the full hand shots, I'm going to point out a few things, but one of which is I really don't think the color of the iridescent portions of the polish is showing accurately outside. And that's a new phenomenon for me. And here we are in the third coat, and I think you can see how that base just deepens the slightest bit in the third coat, but now it's even. I would also like to point out how glowy those tiny flakes and glitter are. You're seeing that pretty reddish tone that is pulling the entire polish to look more purple. The polish will move over into its gold and green colors as well pretty easily. I just can't get them to show inside under the LEDs. And this is where I think I did everyone a disservice, myself included. I thought to myself, there's only two layers of polish on my other fingers. I don't need a glitter smoothing top coat. But there's three on my thumb, so I do need one for that. And I think in retrospect, I should have put the glitter smoother on every single nail because, as we're about to see in the full hand shots, that backfires on me. So this is a note to future me. Always put glitter smoother on every single nail because there's something about the texture of the polish that made the reflection of the sky in my nail just sort of go everywhere so that no matter which angle you saw my fingers from, you were getting a reflection of the sky and it was obscuring the actual nail polish. And I really did not anticipate that well. And I'm sorry to this nail polish. I'm sorry to me. I'm sorry to you. Oops. My glitter smoother happens to be Glisten Glow's Glitter Grabber. It's the only one I've ever used, but I like it so much I've never felt the need to have a different one. This is my first bottle. I still haven't run out. If you've never used one, they aren't like other top coats. They're not there to protect your nail from dents or anything like that. They're purely there to smooth out texture that you don't want to see in the finished manicure. The other thing you should know about glitter smoothing top coats, in my opinion, is that they take longer to dry than a traditional top coat. They dry more like a normal polish. So I give them a good 10 minutes to dry before I apply my quick dry top coat. Now I have a sneaking suspicion that glitter smoother is just plain old suspension base, but I have zero proof of that. And I'm just going to say I'm not angry even if it is. The price for a bottle of smoother does tend to be very inexpensive, and I am still on my first bottle, so I don't need to renew this often. I'd love to know if my guess is correct because I'd also like to use it to thin my glitter bombs, but that's just me being lazy and not wanting to buy a separate bottle of suspension base. And here we are in the sun. I want to remind you that this is 2 coats, no glitter grabber, and just plain old quick dry top coat. And I think you can see the texture I was talking about and how the reflections off my nail are making it actually kind of hard to see the color. So I'm going to say it again. Sorry. Oops. I do think you can see that the base color is an indigo and that as I come around to my left, you do get some of that gold and green shift from those iridescent flakes and glitter. All of this was very easy to see. This is a very bold nail color. It's a bold base color. The flakes and the glitter are not subtle in person. This definitely is a polish for someone with the urge for shiny things in their brain. And here we are in the shade. And again, I think the shifts to gold and green from that red color are very apparent in person, but there's something about the way I filmed it that you're really not seeing it as well as I saw it. It's not subtle. The greens and golds are phenomenal in the shade. That's where they really shine. The flakes and glitter, I think, reach a teal in the shade. I'll leave it to you whether you feel like you're seeing that as well. One of the other aspects of the inclusions in the polish is that I think sometimes they do take on a slightly peachy tone as well as they're heading towards that red. Because this polish has so much color variance, I don't generally wear it in Skittles. However, one of the other ways I like to create a Skittle is to repaint one nail at a time. Because sometimes I will ruin a single nail in a very catastrophic way, and I'm required to take the polish off that nail, maybe file it down, and reapply. And instead of reapplying the same polish, I pick a new one, usually in the same color family. That works well for me because I have so many greens and cobalts and indigos that in those particular color families, it's very easy for me to just pick out a new one and create a haphazard skittle of destruction after the fact. Usually needing to clean up my cuticles is the prompt for taking them all off because I hate to do that one nail at a time. Now that we're inside, I think you can get an idea of how dark the polish can look. Inside, you're really not getting those pretty cobalt edges that you saw outside in the sun, but you're also seeing more of that iridescence. So I think here, the greens and the golds are much more obvious, especially as I swing around to my left and my hand makes its way towards a window that gives some indirect light. And thank you so much for watching. Someday I'll be a real YouTuber and do this correctly. But again, today is not that day. Please enjoy a clip of my blue jay absconding with a peanut as fast as she can.